Another ding. Okay, we're good.
We're
Okay, so
live.
we're live. I'm here with 10 Years Theories, Anton.
Yeah.
And we're going to discuss economics, morality, profit, the myth of the horizontal demand curve, and monopoly. And okay, Anton. So I watched this video here that I'm looking at, the monopoly problem in a nutshell. I just saw your explanation about the horizontal demand curve.
Right. This stuff is what I learned in my economics class.
Yeah, it's the same thing I learned too. Now,
the demand for the one firm, however, is incredibly different. The demand will look like this. It's going to be flat, right? It's going to be flat. Why is it going to be flat? Because earlier I had a demand that was like a negatively sloped line, but think about it from the fact that
so in a demand curve for the industry is going to be slanted downward like that. But
yeah.
Okay.
Saying. So I could just explain the intuition behind that. The idea is that when you have an entire industry, the demand curve is negatively sloped, but because an individual firm can't supply everything that the industry does, the supply axis shrinks, and then you get a very small snippet of the demand and supply curves. So the supply curve would still be the same because it's the supply curve for the company itself, so it would still have the same slope, but the demand curve would be a tiny snippet of that negative slope demand curve, so it would look flat.
Yeah. That was kind of like when I first smelled something wrong, that was my first intuition too. Like you're just so close that you're so close to the demand line, it looks like a horizontal line, just like the Earth is flat, right? From our perspective.
Yes, actually, this does tie into a very important category of math, which is it's what's called a manifold. But enough about that.
Topology.
Well, a manifold is just something that, from far away it has curvature, but locally it looks flat. So a sphere is a manifold because locally a sphere looks flat, right? It is about topology because, this is kind of off topic, but
yeah,
you can, not easily, but you can come up with wacky ass shapes and things that locally do not look flat. Most things you can imagine in your head do, though. So I guess most things are manifolds. Anyway.
Okay, so anyways, do you not you see what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, I'm seeing the drawing thing. So you're gonna draw a perforated line and show how this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, right? I just went here first. Do you see how to erase this?
Stamp. Nope. I don't. Oh wait, it might be the thing at the top. The top tab at the very end, the right end thing, eraser.
Oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, so you can see everything I'm seeing, right?
I can see everything except the frame rate is atrocious, but I guess we're just gonna have to deal with that.
Oh yeah, don't worry. It's the static part. Once I draw it, it'll be static. My mouse may be jumping around, but
yeah.
Okay, so so we have price and quantity, right? And the problem is for everyone who doesn't know that these axes are actually inverted, right?
Yeah. Quantity is a function of price, not the other way around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So when axes are inverted, it's not just going to be a simple flip. It's going to be actually a reflection, right? So when you talk about horizontal demand curves, so here's the perfectly competitive firm's supply curve, right? And you have shit, I don't even know where to start. I didn't think this out, but anyways, this horizontal demand curve doesn't make sense at all, right? Since I drew a 45-degree line, that would be like that.
I'm not. On the bottom graph, it would be a vertical line, which isn't a function, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the model doesn't make sense, right?
It actually does. Okay, so let's if you refer back to that little message I sent you in Skype, if you look at the definition of the demand curve is a graph depicting the relationship between price of a certain commodity and the amount that the consumers are willing and able to purchase at a given price, quantity demanded, right?
Right.
So it's a set of coordinates. It's a set of ordered pairs of.
See, yeah, it is a set of ordered pairs, but nothing in that definition says that what consumers are willing to pay has to be an invertible function. Right?
No, it has to, right? Because think about it, it has to be 1-to-1, right? You can't have several. You can't say at a certain price, it's like their maximum they're willing to buy. It's
that's possible. Right? Why isn't that people aren't willing to pay more than like $5 for a certain thing, for any quantity of a certain thing.
Yeah, but see here, so this is the market clearing price, right? P sub M, whatever. It can't. I don't have that much detail, right? So look what this says, right? So at the market clearing price, what's the quantity demanded from the consumer from this from this individual perfectly competitive firm?
It can be anything. I mean, that's
the thing. See, the quantity demand is the maximum he's willing to buy. It's not all these. It can't be all. It can't be several quantity demands at once.
So okay, I don't think. Okay,
this is not my main argument, so don't latch onto this.
I know this is not your main argument, but I know that what do you call it?
Let's just ask ourselves. Okay, at any price above market, right? Here or here, any of these values for P.
Yeah.
What's the quantity demanded? So if you I don't know where to put the P. So if you look at a point on the demand curve, PQ, right?
And yeah, I know what you're saying. And honestly, it's complicated, but like, okay, how do we define demand? It's not that simple definition, isn't there? Like,
it is. No, this is it.
No, it's more than that. Isn't there this whole indifference curve model?
The indifference curve is between two goods, right? When someone's trying to maximize utility.
But that's how you derive someone's demand curve, right? Yeah, that's how I learned this. Like, that's how I learned this, was when a demand curve for an individual depends on their personal indifference curves.
Yeah. Yes. Probably. Yeah. You could probably actually derive once you give the definition of the individual and his preferences. You could derive his actual demand curve, but you can just jump right to the demand curve. You don't. The indifference curve is not needed for this.
No, my point is, isn't it possible that? Yeah. First of all, this demand curve. Go back to your.
So we're going on your train of So it's like the debate with Malnu. We're going on your train of thought when you're trying to understand me, and it's hard. You should give the person who thinks they have the insight on something.
All right, fine, whatever. Say your piece.
Okay, so the demand curve is again the set of ordered pairs, right? It's a set of ordered pairs that give particular quantity demanded given a unit, given a price, right?
Right.
So the problem here is, so we can derive this. We can derive this logically with no indifference curve needed, right? So we ask ourselves, okay, we're the market, right? So from this one individual firm, what's the quantity demanded at any price, at any P sub n that is greater than P sub m?
Can I say something?
Sure.
The reason they derive demand from indifference curves and not just from price is because price itself, like the price itself, is a relative quantity, right? It's like,
relative quantity. It's in terms of a monetary unit, so I don't.
No, it's but it's not in term price. Like, prices for things can change and they can be whatever, but your indifference curves are constant for you.
Indifference curves always relate to goods, never.
Yeah, exactly. No, but indifference curves, like, they actually focus on the goods themselves that people need and relate the two goods, whereas price.
I think if you hear me out, I think if you hear out my argument, you'll actually see that it's irrelevant. You can even do indifference curves to money. A good to money, maybe, and then you might be able to extract You might be able to, but it's irrelevant in this case. Well, just go with me for a second.
Yeah, I'm going with you. That's
Okay,
not what I
so
learned, but I'm going with you.
yeah, I don't think they actually ever derived They might have said it's
No,
probably
they derived it, man. They derived.
they never. They're not like physics where you actually derive.
No. Okay,
derive.
they called it a derivation, basically.
Okay, whatever. I doubt they ever got that technical, and economics isn't the smartest brand of students. So
It's not, but
I would doubt they derive that stuff. But anyways, just listen to my argument here, and then we can look back at this argument later. Okay, so just go with me for a second, and then we can come back to this and compare and see if it was relevant or not,
okay.
and see if you can make a case when you hear my argument. Okay, so look here. So P sub n. My handwriting's so. And it's even worse on a visual digital chalkboard.
Circled P sub n 40 gazillion times. I get.
Okay, so we know P sub n is greater than P sub m, which is the market clearing price, right? Which is this, which is P sub m.
Oh, that's P sub n.
This is the market price. The market price.
Pn is greater than that, so it's about okay.
So for any P sub n greater than P sub m,
Yeah.
What's the quantity demanded from the firm? So you're the market, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to sell something above the market price when I'm only just a small part of the supply market.
Yeah, if you're selling something
above the market, how much are you going to buy from me when the market's selling it lower?
The same amount? No, you wouldn't. Wait a sec. I'm confused.
What quantity would you demand from me if I tried to charge P sub n?
Oh, I see the issue.
McDonald's is selling Big Macs for $5. I'm selling it at $6. How many do you want from me?
So what you're saying is that the flat curve is impossible.
No, I'm actually trying to derive the actual curve. So tell me this coordinate that should lie in the demand curve. P sub n, for any P sub n, what's the quantity demanded? What's this coordinate here?
Well, based on the graph, the quantity demanded will be somewhere on the right end, like past the supply curve, right?
No.
What do you mean no?
I've actually highlighted the actual part of the demand curve. This actually happens.
Yeah, if you look at the supply curve at that point,
it's 0, right?
Why is it 0?
No one will want to buy from me if I charge higher than market price as an individual firm when everybody else is selling under me.
Okay, well, yeah, that's okay.
Let me remember my hypothetical example. If McDonald's is selling all, then they can produce an infinite amount of Big Macs for $5. I come to you, hey, you want to buy a Big Mac for $6?
Yeah, it won't work. No one's gonna buy from you.
Yeah, no one. So the quantity demanded at any price above market is 0.
Yeah.
So for any P sub n,
yeah,
the second coordinate would be 0. So all these points make up part of the demand curve for with respect to the individual perfectly competitive firm in a perfectly competitive market. So what I'm actually highlighting is the demand curve. You see all these P sub n's?
Whoa. Hold on.
So here, P sub n 0. Yeah, P sub n plus 1 0. But just soak it in. Sorry, I know. Just soak it in.
But then the demand curve isn't a function.
It is.
No.
Remember, it'll be this.
Yeah, it's horizontal down there and vertical up there.
Yeah, because the axes are inverted. This is what it should look like in mathematics. Where it is a horizontal function.
But that's not. Hold on. That's not even true though. If the price is higher, some people might still.
No. You assume everyone knows the information. Yeah.
No, that's a huge assumption, man. That's a huge assumption.
No. This is just a simple model, right? This is just a simple model. This is not the real. Of course, I'll concede that. In the real world, everyone doesn't have perfect information, right? You may not know that McDonald's exists.
We're trying to model the real world.
We're doing a simple model, right?
Okay,
these are all simple models. We're working with linear. We're working with lines.
Fine. You have perfect human beings that understand.
Yeah, perfect
that they're
info,
aware,
perfect,
that
perfect
they're
reasoning.
aware of all of the prices that are being charged by everyone everywhere. And then, yes, they will all buy at PM, not PN. The quantity
Yes.
demanded
So
at PN will be 0.
yeah, so the line is the part of the demand curve is going to look like this. This is the portion that's going to actually look like it, all the way up to here.
Yeah.
And at this point, I actually haven't thought about it. Is it
Well,
going to be
okay,
an open
you know,
or closed?
in reality, this reflects the fact that demand curves are they're fuck, what are they called? They're like radical. No, not radical. They're irrational. No, forget the name for the function. They're inverse functions, right? They're not linear. They're inverted. So as you get closer to the origin, the quantity demanded as price goes up, like can go up exponentially high, and quantity demanded will asymptotically approach 0.
I think I see what you're saying. Like just like inversely proportional, right?
Yeah.
Like 1/x.
Well, yeah.
Oh, is that right? Shit,
Yeah.
I forgot my term.
Yeah. That's what inversely proportional means.
Yeah, as one increases, the other decreases. It's almost like the equivalent in stats is negatively correlated. But yeah, that's irrelevant. Maybe I should draw the market curve just to get some perspective before
I get it. Just what are you trying to do with this idea? So you're
derive the demand curve, the actual demand curve, which is not this horizontal line here. It's going to be a piecewise function, right?
Yeah,
I've actually drawn the other piece.
It's piecewise.
I've actually drawn.
It's not actually. It's not even a function right now. It's an L. It's flat on one bit and vertical on another.
It's flat one bit.
Well, yeah.
Vertical.
Look, you have it's flat for q greater than 0, and q equals 0. It's vertical.
It's flat for p sub n greater than p sub m.
Whatever. Like both graphs that you have, the top one and bottom one, neither of them are functions. What are you drawing?
They are.
No, they're not.
The rest of the demand function.
You have vertical lines. Vertical lines are not functions.
Remember, axes are inverted, so it's it's this.
Okay, only if you're looking at for prices greater than PM. But if you're looking at all prices, then neither graph depicts a function.
Forget this.
Okay, fine. So fine. For prices greater than.
How will I invert this? What's it gonna look like? Something like this, I think. So I think my handwriting, everything I do usually is in my head. So
I feel like you're confused.
It's gonna be like that. I'm not sure. No, yeah, I'm trying to actually. It's the first time me explaining it to somebody. I've actually used it in debate verbally, but I've never actually diagrammed it for anybody. I've actually felt out the solution already, and I know it's right. Like I never went actually through the whole process, but I know it's right. So, and
okay.
Just from this, you'll be able to see, I'm mathematically sound. So next time I bring up a mathematical argument, you can give me more credit. Right? I know you're skeptical, and I deserve to be. But okay, so see, so this part corresponds to this part, and this part corresponds to this part.
Yes.
So you see their functions.
Yes.
Is that right?
The horizontal function is a function.
Yeah, they are functions. So pass the vertical line test, so it's 1-to-1. And
I mean,
the horizontal line test, meaning it's on 2. So it's actually a function. It's invertible. It's whatever. But yeah, that's why I hate economics.
That is the definition. That is the definition of invertible, by the way. It has to be 1-to-1 and on 2.
It is the definition. What is the definition for what?
The definition of invertible, it has to be 1-to-1 and on 2.
Yeah, function.
Yeah.
And I think that's implied in function. So when you say function, you don't.
It depends.
Yeah, function. No, function is 1-to-1 and on 2, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Bijective and surjective. Bijective.
No,
is it just 1-to-1?
It would be injective and surjective. Let's stop talking about math. Just continue.
Yeah. Okay, so you agree that this line is part of the demand curve for the perfectly competitive individual
Yes.
firm.
Fine.
Now, and then the rest of the demand curve is just the market demand curve, and the the individual supply curve flies right in between. Now,
Okay.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is going to be new to you. Right? I've already I've actually worked this out in my head. So, but I had to absorb it too, man. So
I am so
what does it
confused.
fucking mean to fly right between, right?
I am so confused right now by what's on. Can you just like erase all of the clutter on the screen?
Yes. Is there a big erase function? Do you see any big erase function here?
No, I don't.
Clip art
It's
or
fine.
here?
It's fine. Just
Oh, here
use.
you go. There you go, man. Oh shit. How do I
Just
undo?
just erase the whole
Slice.
bottom graph.
Okay. Yeah, man. I wish I had a dry erase board. Well, I'll figure out how to use this. This is the first time I actually searched for something. This function. I'm a messy dude, so yeah. I think that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's put this in perspective, right? To actually, what's actually going on by superimposing the individual demand, the supply curve, with the market supply curve, and see what's actually going on, and then it'll give you better intuition. I've thought about this in my head, and this is what this is what gave me better intuition. So we have price and quantity on the axes. So let's draw the market situation, right? Of course, it's just going to be like that.
Yeah.
So we have supply and we have demand here, and this is aggregate. So this is the total market of this whatever good we're under consideration.
Yes.
So here's shit. Let me draw like let me erase this. I'm just thinking where this can go wrong in my analysis, and I want to make it actually accurate to the truth. I actually sketched this part out just now. Well, this morning. So here's the market supply curve,
Yes.
and here is we'll call it S sub 1.
What's that
We'll call it
other S?
S sub 1 is the market supply. Here's S sub 2, the individual. So S sub 2 equals what do you call it? The individual firm or whatever.
Individual firms supply.
Let's say, just for simplicity, they're all the same.
Yeah. Because that's a perfectly competitive market is you have firms that are all identical.
Oh, they seem that. Oh, okay. It's been a while since I
That's what a
actually heard
perfectly competitive market is where every firm produces the same thing.
and they're all exactly equal in size and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're exactly the same.
Perfect competition is something that doesn't exist anywhere unless you're like producing wheat.
Yeah, homogeneous good, right?
Like in usually, I mean, I think in the real world, there's like approximately perfect competitive markets, and in stuff like good in like wheat or like certain foods, maybe.
Yeah. Depending on homogeneity, where all substitutes are actually within the good you're considering. So yeah, that's a funny thing about monopoly. You can make a monopoly depending on how you define the market.
Yeah,
specific.
basically every company that's trying to give you the unique good is trying to be a monopoly.
Yeah, product differentiation, right?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, my time's kind of running short.
That's fine.
But okay, so here's actually what's going on. Actually, fuck. It's actually more like that.
Yeah, it'll be very steep.
Or something like that.
It'll be very steep.
It'll be very steep because yeah.
So what are you trying to show?
The relationship, what's actually going on. Not that we're so close to this that it looks horizontal.
Okay.
And here's what's happening. What you should do is hit this equilibrium point.
Right.
Go like this. Bam. This is where this is where this individual firm will maximize profits.
Okay.
Now let me draw, with respect to the individual demand curve, what the individual demand curve for a perfectly competitive firm. Let me highlight. Maybe I could do a different color. I'll use brush. Maybe. Something to differentiate.
That's the individual demand curve, the
That's
bolded.
the individual demand curve. So yeah, you can see here.
Okay, now I see what you mean by perforated. So you're saying that all of those quantities in between, they don't demand any price for that. Hello?
No, I'm just processing what you're saying. As far as
Because that's what this looks like. There's nothing.
Yeah, no,
there.
no. Yeah, no. There's not. It's. But again, this is the independent variable. So just because there's a perfect line here.
No, this matters. Like you
It
can't.
doesn't.
I don't agree.
It's oh shit. Let me go back to this. Now
Okay.
translate this gap here. You see,
Yeah.
this is not perfectly inverted. I know it's not a mirror image, but I'm just doing it for purposes of the significance.
So you're saying
So
that
who cares about this gap, right?
for a certain price, the quantity demanded will be blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you hit that price, there's going to be a jump in the quantity demanded all of a sudden? Or a fall in the quantity demanded?
Yes, right. And it makes sense. Okay, so you have to look at it from the perspective. Look at it from the perspective of the market. Okay, we've already logically deduced this. At any price above N, I'm not going to buy shit from this firm. At any price below at M, I will want to buy this. Oh, okay. Now I thought about it. It's open circle here, closed circle here.
Yeah, whatever.
Now it's a function because you can't have both closed. Now it's a well-defined function. Right?
Whatever. Yeah.
There's no values for P where I can't come to a D, a quantity QD. So you see here that so the quantity demanded from this firm is this, but it can only produce this, right? It won't produce this at this price. What I mean to say, because you can see it's all the way up there. It actually needs a very high price to produce at this quantity. Because of probably law of diminishing marginal returns, it has to do with it. But let's not get into that, right? Well, it won't produce. It won't produce this. This individual firm won't or can't produce this quantity at this price.
It can't produce it
at this price. At
no,
this price.
Not at any price. Oh no, yeah.
No, okay. Yeah, it can at some price.
If the price is like
get large enough, just
very high,
large.
Yeah. Because this is an exponential
sufficient
growth.
to meet at least its costs, right?
Yeah.
It's marginal, or it's average cost, or whatever. I forgot the AVT, average AVC, or whatever. But so at this point, it won't produce it at this price, but the rest of the market will. But it doesn't matter. The market will still demand this quantity from this firm. That's what it wants. It doesn't care if it can't produce, but it'll still demand it. It won't get it.
It'll only get this. It's demanding that from the industry, not from the one firm.
Even from the one firm, it doesn't care who it gets it from.
Yeah. Okay.
Like when you buy things from a non-distinguishable group of sellers, you don't care who gives it to you, right? That's all I care about is the quantity. Just give it to me. I don't care who gives it to me. So even with respect to the individual firm, I don't care. I don't care about you. Just fucking give me this quantity at this price. At this price, I'll buy this much from you.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're all the same. So you see here. So and it takes the shape the rest of the way. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The quantity demand is the same.
So what does this prove?
What does it prove? See this horizontal demand curve? Yeah. It's really this perforated line. Like the limit at this price, like to maximize profit, it'll have to operate here, right? At any quantity demanded, it'll lose money here if it tries to produce at that price.
Right.
It'll leave money on the table here.
Yeah.
So to maximize profit, it has to operate here. And that's why this perforated line, it's just like, it's analogous to your monopoly example. When you draw perforated lines to locate the monopoly price, you watch this video again and see what I'm saying. So, maybe, shit, let's watch it, right?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I get what you're saying.
Let me just try to find it.
I just think this is getting really complicated, and
let me just find a picture so I can jump to it. You see here how you identified monopoly price?
yeah,
Even though they intersected here,
yeah,
that's, you have to go back to the original curve to
yeah.
see actually the price they're going to sell it at.
Demand curve. Okay.
Right? Because you're on the marginal revenue curve.
Okay,
which
fine.
is the derivative of this. Well, at the derivative of the revenue curve to get to here. So that's what you're doing. So see these perforated lines? This is actually a perforated line.
Yeah, I didn't draw it as a perforated line.
Yeah, and then you perforated line.
The perforated line doesn't. It's just an indication. Doesn't mean.
Yeah, that's all this is, an indication. It's not the demand curve. It's the price at which the highest price the firms can sell at. It can sell all its good that it wants to, and anywhere here it's not maximizing profit, and anywhere here it's losing money.
What does this show? You're just saying how
what the demand curve actually is. This.
I mean, I feel like both things sort of say the same thing.
No, but the thing is, you can't call it you can't call it the demand curve for the perfect competitive firm.
No, because the demand curve for the perfectly competitive...
You can call it the price at which...
The demand curve... Listen, the demand curve for the perfectly competitive firm doesn't like talk about all of the people that are buying this product. It's just those individuals that would buy something from that firm. And it's saying that if you took all of them and arranged their demand curve, then it would be flat. That's what it's saying.
Again.
And that's not incorrect, even with this.
Again, you have to apply the definition, right? You must.
Yeah, I am.
You're compelled to. It's a graph depicting a relationship between price and certain, and when you do that, you're forced to mine.
Yes, it's doing it for fewer individuals.
No, this is the market, the full market. No few individuals.
I know. This is the curve for the full market. The curve that I drew in that video is the curve for a few individuals.
The horizontal demand curve? No.
Yes, it is. It is.
Again, it doesn't make sense.
No, it would make sense.
Even the few individuals, it doesn't make sense. So you're saying
it does make sense because they're working over a small, like, go back to your drawing. They're working over like 5 units, whereas the whole industry is interested in like 5,000 units.
Right. So here's PM, right? So you're saying this is a demand curve for the few individuals that actually buy from this firm. Am I correct? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So what does it mean to say this point on the demand? It says that at PM, it wants...
And again, keep in mind, that curve isn't totally flat.
Okay.
It's not actually flat. It's like it's almost flat. We just say it's flat because it's approximately flat. If you, like, as the number of firms goes to infinity, then you're going to get a perfectly flat curve.
You happy with this?
Yeah. But that's like...
So at P sub N here, the quantity demanded.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? They want fewer people would buy, like they'd buy slightly less quantity for PN, which is slightly higher than PM.
Yeah, that actually works because the sum of this line, if this was a component of this line,
yeah,
the slope would just like the slope of this line.
Right. Anyway, this isn't even what I wanted to talk about in this video. I didn't want to discuss like the intricacies of this, like how many firms there are in an industry. This doesn't even have anything to do with whether monopolies are good or bad. right?
Uh no, it was a technical thing.
Oh, okay.
But
So this is just a technical thing that we were. Okay. Well, I'm glad we resolved that.
yeah, it depends how you look at it. So you probably might be right. If I decompose the individual firm, you might have to decompose the actual demand curve into the individual buyers that actually have to buy from them. But
Yeah.
this is still actually valid too.
Maybe it is, although I've never seen that shit anywhere, and I have, like, I mean, if you want to write an economics paper and compare that to stuff other economists have said, like, I'm not an expert in this field. I can't tell you if it's right or wrong. It seems to have
It
some
just makes
sense.
sense. It
It
just makes
makes
sense
some
because
sense. It doesn't make total sense. I mean, no, it does make sense if you put the individual supply curve on the industry graph, then it makes sense.
but the
Anyway,
demand curve, the demand, it's like you first. The thing is, when you say demand curve, then you have to say like the individual demand curve for the perfectly for these individuals to actually buy from the firm. So when you make that differentiation, yours works well. But if once you say demand curve for the perfectly competitive firm, that might imply it, but
it does.
it's deeply implied.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Demand, like, demand is complicated. There's like been theories about demand for hundreds of years. At least I took 2 courses on like the history of economics. Well, I didn't take them. I sort of audited them and I learned a bit. And from what I understood, like the issue of demand and where it comes from is like, or at least was the most complicated issue in like economics before now, I guess. Like the current model is this indifference curve thing to explain demand.
But you don't remember the derivation? I mean,
No, I do remember the derivation. You
just rough.
have
Yeah, do you have a intuitive explanation for the derivation?
well, yeah, the intuitive explanation. I mean, okay, maybe I don't remember it exactly, but it's like if you have 2 goods,
Yeah.
if
No,
you have,
you're trying to operate on the indifference curve, which is like Pareto efficiency. You're trying to maximize utility by
yeah, yeah,
operating
yeah, yeah.
on the actual indifference curve.
There's
The
something.
indifference curve maximizes your utility between 2 goods.
Yeah,
Any
yeah, it maximizes your
anywhere,
utility. Oh, okay, I remember what you do.
yeah, anywhere inside is not efficient. Anywhere outside is beyond your capability,
Yeah, well, here's the
or
thing. If
you'd
you
like to be.
have different capability, like assume you have different amount of money, then you can have several indifference curves. And if you yeah, that thing right there. Like if you draw a line between the
Where'd I go? Some paper. Maybe I should go there. This one, or should I go
yeah,
here
that
in image? Let me
go
go to images.
go to that image. That very first
Same.
image. That really
This one?
very first image. Yeah. That is a small image.
Yeah,
That
it's
is a
gonna be even
small image.
smaller on YouTube. Yeah, these look all the same, right?
Okay, whatever. I can explain it here. You have several indifference curves, like I1, I2, ABC, whatever, and you have that. You see that diagonal line that intersects it at one spot.
Yeah.
Well, that line represents if you have.
Secant line. So okay.
Yeah, no, that's a tangent line.
Tangent line, secant line. Yeah, it cuts
That
through.
line represents how much money or how much money you have, and it says that if you have that much money, you maximize your utility by taking the
Yeah.
point.
Okay, a budget constraint. A budget
Yes.
constraint.
Yeah, yeah, budget constraint. Yeah. And if you take lines like that tangent to every single indifference curve, and then you draw like a line through all the intersections, that's how you get the demand curve for that individual.
Ah, yeah. I actually never saw that part. They never. I've never. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Right?
So
Because that represents how much they can get.
yeah,
And
wait. These in different curve. Why are they concentric. What are they like concentric? Who? What is? Are these different
They
individuals?
no,
Are
no,
these?
no. These are different. This is one individual.
This is one individual.
This is one individual. The different indifference curves are representative of how much, say, money you had. Like, for instance, if you started with, like, the indifference curve A is like if you started with 10 apples. Indifference curve B is like if you started with 20 apples. How many, like, oranges can you get for that amount?
Okay, like you're talking about two goods, apples and oranges.
Yeah, like good one is apples, good two is oranges, and the very top end of the very top part of the indifference curve represents, when you have nothing but apples, how many apples are you going to exchange for oranges? So if you have a lot of apples, you're willing to exchange more apples for oranges.
Oh, are you talking about the slope of these curves,
Yes.
like the
Well, you
derivative?
asked no. You asked me if the curves represent several individuals. They don't. That
Yeah,
this is only for one.
these different curves. What's the indifference curve 1, 2, 2, and 3, and 4? How come they're different?
They represent different quantities of the various, like, commodities that you start out with.
This is the same. To me, it looks like the same set of goods. So why would his indifference curve shift?
It doesn't shift. Like, the curve just represents how much of one good is worth.
Yeah, in terms of the other,
In terms of the other.
at any one point. So your trade-off to maximize.
Yeah.
I know.
So
it.
it's like if you
But
have
why do we have 3?
because if you suddenly increase, like, let's say I start with 10 apples, how many apples am I willing to exchange for oranges, right? That will all belong to one indifference curve.
Isn't that represented in the budget constraint?
No.
What you start out with is how much you can afford, kind of, right?
Maybe I'm not explaining this well. Look, I think we've sort of derailed. Okay,
Yeah,
but
let's talk about this some other time. Part.
No. This was like in my textbook, and it was explained like very well, and it had a very beautiful derivation of demand at the end.
Yeah, I've never seen that. It's never been in my textbooks. That sucks. This is maybe it's here. Oh yeah, I was typing in deriving demand curve.
Derivation of demand or something.
Derivation of demand curve. Deriving the demand curve. Should I go this one? Maybe I'll watch the video later. But it makes sense. It's starting to make sense.
Yeah, this is it. There you go. Wait, no, is this it? Units of good, Yeah. Those are indifference curves right there.
Maybe I did see it, and maybe I just forgot it, but I don't think I've seen it. I would remember this because this is kind of like interesting stuff to me, at least. Anyways, let's talk about some other topic.
We've derailed so hard in this talk. I don't even know if you want to upload this still.
I don't care. It's
okay. Whatever. I was just I don't agree with your definition of profit.
Well, you can't disagree with the definition. First of all, you can.
Okay. Well, sorry. I have a different definition of profit. Comparative advantage is not. There's no profit in that. That's just trading.
It is. No, it's a surplus, direct.
Yeah. There is a surplus. You get an advantage. You get more of what you needed, but there's no profit. Profit, at least.
No, that's profit. Surplus.
No, there's not going to be a surplus.
Consumer and producer surplus.
No, there's no consumer surplus with comparative advantage. There's no way.
Yeah, there is.
For there to be a producer surplus, there has to be a consumer deficit.
It compares your PPF to what happens after you trade, right?
No. Go to a supply demand curve. Okay? Like there's no. There are benefits of comparative. I watched your video. There's
the benefits are just synonymous with profits. There's consumer surplus.
No, there's not. They are not synonymous with profit because profit, by definition, means somebody else has to lose something.
No, see, you're confusing. So, here's it's a similar conflation. You're assuming all profit is zero-sum game. right? By zero-sum game, no one can gain without someone else losing. When you
Yeah.
haven't considered the possibility of mutually beneficial, which is
Okay,
the
look,
most
forget
actually,
all of this
but
econ mumbo jumbo for a second. We have you and me in a room. I'm making rocks, you're making sticks, okay? I can trade rocks for sticks based on like the agreed upon price. Now nobody loses in that situation. Nobody gains anything either. I mean, we get sticks, because otherwise we don't have enough of the thing we need. So we're both at an advantage, but nobody profits. Profits means you would have to somehow trick me into getting.
no, absolutely
Yes.
not.
Profit would mean
Did you?
means you have to
I
trick.
linked the Khan Academy video.
Yes, I watched it. That had nothing to do with supply and demand, though.
Okay, wait. Okay, so you have so the market on a desert island, it's just you and me, right?
Yeah.
Let's run through the hypothetical. On a desert island, it's just you and me. Did I have a sketch pad? Okay. So you, me, two goods, right?
Yeah.
I have a PPF. I have a production possibility frontier, meaning the trade-off between producing
Here in
goods. Right?
Canada, they call those production possibility curves for some reason, but whatever.
Frontier is because when you're on it, it's the frontier of your ability.
Right, I get it.
It's the maximum. You're maximizing
I
your
know.
ability. So yeah, it is a curve. Yeah, I think there's probably, depending on what class you take or what book you read, there's probably another. Yeah, it's just my textbook when I learned. Probably stuck to it. So you're Pareto efficient if you're operating on a curve, right? And you have your indifference curve, right?
Yes.
Wherever.
Yes, but this has nothing to do with supply and demand, right? This has nothing to do with consumer surplus or.
We're talking about profit. The focus here is profit. So.
You know what? I'm gonna look up how profit is defined.
Yeah, me too. I'll do it for us. Let's go to economic textbook. Hopefully, it's surplus. So wait, what do you disagree with that? Consumer and producer surplus are a form of profit.
If we trade at equilibrium price, there is no consumer surplus or consumer deficit.
Yes, there is. Wait, I know what you're saying. I just the phrase. I see the conflation already, right? The problem is you're not comparing to your opportunity cost of not trading. That's your problem. Economic profit, taking into account your opportunity cost.
Economic, okay.
So okay, let me Google economic profit. That's the term I'm actually referring to.
Okay, you're looking at economic profit, and I'm not. Maybe that's the answer here.
It is. So when you compare yourself, when you don't trade, you're worse off.
Yes, for sure.
You're profiting. Both of you are profiting at the same mutually beneficial trade. Mutually beneficial profit. Consumer produce, because in a barter economy, we're just producing different goods, but we're benefiting by consuming past our PPFs.
Yeah. We're producing different goods and consuming past our okay, but
this is possible only through trade, and that's mutually beneficial.
Yes, that is mutually beneficial, but what happens in with monopolies and in capitalist societies is that there is exploitation with
Okay, so let's define exploitation. Exploitation is profit when it's a zero-sum game.
Yes.
But you see, the majority of trade. Okay, so you'll agree with me. Virtually all trade is voluntary, right?
Okay.
When it's voluntary, it can only happen when both people, assuming that they're self-interested, think it's profitable for them.
Well, they're obviously not, because you can trick the other guy into thinking it's profitable for him.
Okay, so when you complicate it like that, you can look at it from a game theory point of view.
No, but that's how it is.
No, I'm agreeing with you. But here's so when you complicate it, right? it's called a repeated game, right? In game theory.
Okay.
So in game theory, a super game or iterative game is an extensive form game which consists in some number of repetitions of the same game, right? So this interaction here, once you rip me off, there's going to be no repeat transaction. And how do you think most big companies?
Sure there will. You may not realize that you got ripped off.
Then you go extinct. Then the biological thing.
Then you go extinct, but that could take hundreds of years.
But that's good because you need to get rid of that idea or gene or whatever's causing that. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of it.
You do, but you don't. Like this is what I think the impasse is. You get rid of it more quickly by just convincing those people to be smart enough not to be ripped off.
The problem is when you're wrong, you're trying to convince them, and you're wrong trying to convince them, and you've only caused. You have to be in a very elevated, like Molly said, you have to be a very almost omniscient, and it's almost impossible.
Because it's not impossible. I can tell
because the conditions are so dynamic between individuals. It's hard to take into account.
But I can easily look at a company like Apple and say that they are tricking their customers into paying that amount for iPhones and shit. Do you have an Apple product?
No,
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Apple products are a ripoff.
First of all, so you're looking at okay. So if you want to complicate things by looking at a real world thing, they benefit by you agree they benefit by IP laws, which are not they don't pay, right? They don't pay this. They may lobby for, but they don't. So they may pay for indirectly, but they only do so because they profit off it, right? They wouldn't lobby for it if they didn't gain more than they spend in lobbying fees, right? So these IP laws, without them, you can reverse engineer their iPhone, perfectly copy the design, and this is easily doable by a big corporation. They can do it perfectly, but the thing is they can't, right? Because of IP law. They can't maintain business without the government breaking down the doors and
without copyright law.
So what you have here is a crowding out of decent copiers. The decent copiers actually have a decent job, so it's not worth it for them to do it with IP law. So you only have criminals that do it, so they make shitty copies.
I see. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the government does have some fault here, but my point is the company also does have the option of just not charging that price, right?
That's the thing. Okay, so the cart before the horse. You remove these regulations, and their self-interest will force them to a desirable outcome.
But either way, you either remove the regulations or the company changes their behavior. Either way is they have to alter what they're doing now.
Yeah. Okay. Now you compare both things, and now one is passive. You just stop doing it. Stop doing it. Right? Stop it. Slap the hand. Stop it. It's easier than creating another rule, enforcing it. And
no, I'm not saying anyone should create a rule. I'm saying that Apple could just choose not to charge like $1,200 for a fucking laptop that doesn't have a USB port.
Yeah. So here's the thing: you can't bypass self-interest.
But you're trying to do that just by trying to say that the government should get rid of a law.
Yeah, that's it, and that's all. And then self-interest would take over, and it wouldn't be perverted.
Yeah, but you're saying they have to bypass their self-interest in order to.
No, they won't. No, they won't. You're trying to bypass self-interest, not me. I'm trying to go with it. I'm trying to just remove what you're trying. You're like going in a certain. You're trying to accomplish things. You're trying to overcomplicate the system by adding things. When you just have to remove your.
What am I trying to add? What am I trying to add?
Government intervention. We know.
No. I'm not saying anything about. I never said anything about government intervention. I said Apple could just find their inner virtue and not charge unreasonable prices.
They will if you remove the intervention. Okay.
My point is they should willingly.
There's two interventions here. One I didn't mention, right? The fact that they're a corporation. corporation laws, right?
Yeah.
This is an abomination of government, right? These things would never exist.
I don't like. I don't get.
It'd be reduced to zero almost.
You guys, you libertarians, you blame. It's like you're blaming the corporations on the government rather than on the people. Rather than on the people who run the corporations.
They come from corporate law, incorporation law, right? And you know the reason why you incorporate, right? It's to protect it's to protect your personal assets and your
Whatever
reputation
you want to
too.
call it. Yeah, whatever. It's like it's selfish. It's
it's a perversion. You make a law that rewards you for being an asshole, and people are going to be assholes. You remove that law of rewarding assholes, and they're not going to be assholes. Now, what you want to do instead of removing the law is place another law that
no. I don't want to place another law.
There's two things you can do here, right? So there's two things in the real world situation you can do here: remove the law, or create another law to somehow mitigate the effects.
No, there's a third option. There's a third thing you can do, which is you don't create anything. You argue about it, and then through cultural movements, convince people who run corporations not to be assholes by choice. That's the third option.
That's actually not a third option because we're assuming, just to simplify the model, we're assuming a perfectly rational individual. So they've already considered everything, right? Even other people's interests. And rationally, they've come to the conclusion that
if they did consider people's interests, they would not be corporations. There's no way.
So the problem here is that corporations is a reputational shield, right? So it's easier to be a dickhead behind a corporate logo than to act under my name, right? It's easier for me to be a dick when I work for Walmart and just say.
Yes, what I'm saying is that you make it so that you don't create.
I know what you're saying, but if you're not implicitly arguing for a democratic movement to place law, you're just imploring the corporation to lower their prices.
Yeah, basically, I'm imploring.
So what you're saying, but their prime their primary objective should be to their shareholders, right?
Yeah, I don't give a shit what their primary objective is. If their primary objective was in the interest of reaching the mountaintop, then they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
No, all they want to know. So, okay, so they want to get to the mountaintop, maximize profits, right? But the problem is government put in a rule. You don't see that.
But the government, but then I can make the same argument for government. The government is also
it's analogous to this, right? Government is like putting pieces of cheese on the floor of your house, and you're wondering why rats are coming in.
But then the government is also doing that out of self-interest.
What do you want to do in this case? Let's say they're intelligent rats. Are you gonna go to the rat and say, "Hey man, can you just stop doing it because you're like shitting in my house and shit," or are you gonna fucking just throw out the cheese? Or are you going to stop the government from keep putting the cheese on your floor, right? Let's say they keep putting the cheese there for the rats to eat.
Yeah, both of those are solutions.
Which seems like the more practical one if you had
that depends on the situation, but both
all else equal.
Both need to be
else
both things are required. The government needs to understand that they can't put cheese in people's houses, and the rats need to understand that they can't come in and eat the cheese. Both of those will be problems regardless of which one you change. You don't fix both by fixing one.
And here's the thing. It's like each time the government puts a piece of cheese on your floor, it's like you're letting them in every time. Right?
Yeah, and every time you buy
he knocks on your door, "Hey, I'm going to put a piece of cheese on your floor." Okay.
Yeah, okay. I get it. But you can't identify the locus of the entire problem as just the government.
No, that is because you and it's two things, right?
Hold on. Let's just stop. Let's just think. Does the government make this decision consciously? Right? Are they making this decision
in a collective sense? Yes.
Okay. Is the corporation making their decision consciously?
In a collective sense, yes.
Do both decisions make things worse?
Yes, and both are products of law.
Then both are products of themselves, and both are inherently evil.
No, they're not. Actually,
Yes.
one's a product of the other. Corporate law.
No. Corporations are not products of the law.
They are.
They are
They are.
products. They are
They're
not.
corporate law.
They are not solely products of the law. They are products of the law
Okay.
and the government, combined with evil people and evil individuals who exploit and decide to, and get to the top. Narcissists and sociopaths
Okay.
and all those people.
No,
Okay.
I know. I understand what you're saying. So, but it's the thing is here that these entities are temporary because they can't hold up because they're like vehicles, right? Vehicles for parasites to hide
Everything is
themselves.
temporary. What do you mean by temporary?
Long run. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, like, in the here and now, I'm not gonna, you want me to act like they're perfectly okay? No, I'm saying these people are parasites, okay? They will be gone in the long run.
What are you gonna do? I mean, so what are you gonna do as far as the corporation? So in the case
I'm
of
encouraging
Apple,
people not to buy Apple products. That's what I do.
but Apple has rivals. Even though you can specifically define, you can narrowly define their market as Apple phones or iPhones, they still have substitutes like Androids and other phones.
So pick the lesser evil, which is Android or
so the thing is, the beauty about profit is that it erodes itself.
It erodes itself in the long run. It doesn't erode itself in the meantime. It doesn't erode itself.
Even in the short run.
No. This may not go away.
Okay,
listen to me. Even if the government disappears tomorrow, people will still be buying Apple phones for whoever knows how long.
Again, only because people aren't allowed to copy it perfectly. You remove IP laws, another government abomination.
No, but then
and the self-interest of other actors. You have to take into consideration the actions of other self-interested actors, and you get a desirable outcome. So maybe in like 20, maybe in like 50 years. But I'm sure no, immediately you will have corporations. You get rid of IP laws this instant.
No, but see that's what's going to happen is if that happens
within a week, you're going to have reverse engineering of the iPhone perfectly. If they haven't done so already.
Yes, but here's what's going to happen. Apple will try to use its money and its influence to
lobby. That's the only way they can do that. Lobby. It's not profitable to do so to manipulate competition otherwise in a free market.
Well, it'll try to make it difficult to.
That's the difference. So you got to analyze that.
Reverse engineer.
How can an entity use its capital to influence people in a free market versus in lobbying? And it's not profitable in one case, and it's profitable in the other. Because if it was profitable in the free market, they would have already done it. That's the thing I'll always come to, right? If it was profitable in free, they would have already done it. They wouldn't need government to do it for them.
It might be like DRM for video games, but no. Look, here's the point. Even if people figure out a way to reverse engineer, then I swear to God, people are still gonna buy shit from Apple for like a good 10, 20 years.
No.
Yes, they will.
You're discounting self-interested actors. If someone
because there are no self-interested actors. People are stupid. They will buy Apple products.
You're talking about the very small segment of the population.
No, it's not a small segment of the population.
If there are several companies perfectly copying their phone, right, they will get eroded virtually to zero.
There are companies that basically perfectly copy their phone. They're called Android.
No.
Basically perfect copies.
If you perfectly copied the phone, they'd be in court right away. Right?
The phones are so similar. Okay, there's just no logo, and the buttons
the software is different.
The buttons don't look as bubbly.
All those little things add to the differentiation.
This goes into like the software is different, but like fine. What about software law? What about piracy? Right? Like companies get really mad about that shit, right?
Piracy only happens because of crowding out. These are the lower class. These are the lower skilled copiers. The good copiers already have good jobs. That's the thing. It's the market was crowded out because of government law. The best copiers are in good jobs. in
The
engineering.
crowding out will happen if and only if the consumers are themselves intelligent enough.
I mean, I'm not saying the Chinese are not intelligent. Maybe they haven't had the
No, just
luxury
like
of
okay, forget the software, forget the look of the thing. It's effectively the exact same product, okay? There are very few differences.
And when you look at it that way, what percentage of the share does iPhone have of the mobile
A
phone market?
huge amount. Do you know why? Because people are insane and they
And
want to buy Apple products because they're
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm not disagreeing with it. You can have fads in a short period of time, but you have to realize how transient they are. They don't even last a generation.
They don't last a generation, but like, come on.
They don't
Okay,
even last a
we're
generation.
arguing. We're. This isn't an argument of scale. I understand that this isn't going to last a generation, but it's going to last for a few decades at least, and that's pretty bad.
That's not that bad considering you have a bigger monopoly right in front of you. When you have to go to DMV, and when you have to use roads, and when you have to use police,
That's another issue.
and you never complain about those.
I do complain about those.
Not as vociferously. Your first example is always to Apple, right?
Well, that's one of my examples because that's like one of the worst.
That's usually your first one.
Yeah, I mean, I can complain about the government.
And in magnitude wise, it's not even close. And
The thing is, I don't complain about the same things because like taxation,
they're
like
not
that-
even a monopoly because the only true monopolies like that. I saw some of that interview you had. It is monopolistic, right? It is oligopoly, and they're just the same form of the other, just one more magnitude of the other.
Yeah, I agree. The government is the biggest monopoly, but
yeah.
the difference is
You have to pick your battles, right?
The difference is they are acting in more self-interest than Apple, right? Because they are actually like the welfare state, and you can complain about the welfare state, but the welfare state is actually doing good things.
No,
to some people,
it's not good because it's a deadweight loss right?
no, it's not a deadweight loss.
It's the deadweight loss thing. You know the economic. I think it's the one in the 101 textbook.
It's not. No. We've covered deadweight losses, but usually when the government does something like that, it spends that money on something else.
Okay, so welfare is a subsidy. You know the deadweight loss for subsidies, right?
No, but those like the seniors or whatever that get that money, right? They use it to buy stuff, right? They use it to buy goods.
Seniors? Are you talking about like Medicare and? I thought you meant welfare.
Look, that's in self-interest. If you have free,
they're all subsidies. So okay, so
if there's a subsidy for for healthcare, I have an injury, and then that injury gets corrected, then I can go back to being a worker and a productive member of society, right? It's not a loss. If I'm a senior who's on a pension, right? Then
so here's the thing, right? So here's the thing. You can analyze this thing with self-interest. That hypothetical, right? So you're injured, right? And you need medical care to get back to work. Now, there's a cost to medical care, right?
Yeah.
So okay, let me write
I pay that cost by paying taxes.
No, forget about the rest of society. Just for the individual. Like let's look at what a self-interested individual would do, and how a totally free market would bring about desirable consequences in this case.
Look, the free market. This is my point. A free market only works if people are smart. It only works if consumers make perfect decisions.
Here's the thing: you can't go around it. You can't go around the fact there are dumb people out there. Right?
Yes, you can.
So when there are dumb people out there, if it was profitable to convince them, they would do so in a free market.
It's not profitable to convince them. It's profitable.
Then if it's not profitable, it's not moral.
It's profitable to make them do the right thing, even if they don't know it.
Then they would do it in a free market.
No, they wouldn't.
Okay, so if it were profitable, like to convince them, to spend resources to convince them, they would. You could actually, there would be incentive for someone to actually start a business to do so. That's the beauty about the free market. You see the erosion, the profitability as a signal.
If that only works.
If it's truly profitable, someone will start a business to fucking do it. Right? So you're gonna run into this contradiction you're running into here. Right? If you're claiming that it's profitable for society, they'll fucking organize to do it. They'll want to contribute. If it's worth 1 cent benefit to me, I'll pay up to 1 cent, right?
Like I was saying, it could be worth it. There is a benefit to it in the long run, but we don't see that.
It doesn't
benefit.
matter if it's long run or thing.
Okay, there is a benefit to it. There is a benefit to what the government does. Some of what the government does.
It has to exceed costs.
It does exceed cost. It does. There is a benefit to it.
Then all you have to do is convince the free market, and if it is, the smart ones will convince the dumb ones, and
maybe
eventually
that's what's happening here.
You can start a business to do so. Okay, so you're trying to convince the free. All you have to do is try to.
Essentially, what the government is it's a business that takes tax money and converts it into healthcare and shit that does return a profit.
No, it doesn't, because okay, so in your hypothetical, you pointed to the one instance where it might be beneficial for the society. It might have a net, and might be economically profitable to do so. But you haven't looked for the subsidy of healthcare in total, right? What you're doing is, when you're decreasing the cost of healthcare, is you're lowering the cost for people to do health hazard things. You're creating a moral hazard, right? The Peltzman effect, right?
But it's not.
You lower the cost of walking a tightrope, right? Which what you're implicitly doing here by lowering the cost of healthcare.
Only if people are stupid, because I'm not actually lowering the cost. The cost
is that one of your assumptions?
No. Look. The cost doesn't actually go away of healthcare. It is still there. What happens though?
Artificially lowered.
No. It's not artificially lowered. What happens is, when I pay taxes, I am paying for my future healthcare. That's what's happening.
Oh,
that is my healthcare money. I am paying for my healthcare.
Okay, so going to a real world system, as far as a healthcare system, you've looked at the Medicare system and Medicaid.
I know that is a disaster, but that's because your government is retarded. Okay, I don't know what about it. Like in Canada, it's a different story.
Only it's the same thing.
And
only
look, I'm sure. No. I'm sure that there's bureaucratic issues, but the principle itself isn't flawed. The principle is.
It is because again, the free market, if it's profitable, they actually do it, right? And you could convince others to do it, right?
That's what this is.
No, you're compelling them to do it. And you might be wrong.
Yes, because they're stupid. Because otherwise, if they wouldn't,
think they're stupid.
Yes, I think they're stupid because they are stupid.
No. But also here, you're not considering the fact that you're forcing them. So when you compel them to when you're forcing them to pay for the healthcare, they're actually they might be. So for the healthy, like I'm a health nut, right? So I like to play a lot of sports and eat healthy.
Okay.
So by lowering artificial costs,
yes, in a sense, I might make there's a flaw to it. I might make them
punish
stupider.
People like me and reward people like the fat ass eating a fucking ding dong.
Listen. There is a flaw to it. I'm not saying it's a perfect system.
It's a pretty big fucking flaw.
The flaw is that the people are tricked into thinking that their health doesn't matter because of free healthcare. That's bullshit, though. Their health does matter. It comes from their taxes, right? It's this implicit contract with the government where it's like, if I get it, I will need X amount of money for my operation. If I get into an accident later, I'm going to let the government hold on to that until I need that operation. It's not a perfect system because, again, people are stupid. And the free market also would not be a perfect system because, again, people are stupid. So the problem is human stupidity.
You're talking about risk pooling. They have an industry for that. You know what it's called, right?
Insurance.
It's called insurance, yeah. So what the fuck?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's health insurance. Kinda, I guess.
So why are you arguing for government to crowd out that market? All you're arguing is for
because I would say that the market. I'd say that the government is a better form of insurance. Well, the government can be a better form of insurance than the market on its own. Okay, look.
Absolutely not. All it does is it subsidizes insurance usually. Well, that's what it does in the real world.
In both scenarios, you still end up with the same problem. In both scenarios, human stupidity is a problem. So what you do is
But
you have to...
you agree with me, self-interest solves this in the medium or short or long run, right? So
in the
I
long
have
run,
that,
self-interest solves everything, sure. The way we've
I have
defined
that. I
self-interest.
have that. That's the tiebreaker, right? So
But that doesn't mean be a libertarian today.
If every point you can bring up, I can bring up a counterpoint that may, I always have a tiebreaker, right? So the default,
it's not a tiebreaker. It's not a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it is. Nature. I can always go nature. I'm done. Right?
No,
you don't
it's
have
not.
any,
It's not a tiebreaker because self-interest does not imply libertarianism. Your self-interest model, all it does is it proves.
Yes, it does.
No. It proves that in the long run we will have a perfect free market. In the long run. But it doesn't say anything about the next couple centuries.
And you know, the mechanisms are the free profit. The profit incentive is the free market.
Yes, but think
when
about
when you don't pervert that with laws, then you don't get miscalculations on how to maximize profit.
You don't pervert that with laws, but just by having the free market, you're going to have people suffering, and people suffering will be a deadweight loss as well.
Absolutely not. They have to learn the hard way through experience.
No, they don't.
This can be done within the generation, right? I mean, the next generation of their kid can see
the next generation might see the results, but the current generation will be a huge economic loss.
That has to happen. It's part of the learning curve.
No, it doesn't have to happen. You can get out of this with no economic loss or minimal economic loss.
That would assume that you can jump to a knowledge point, right? The learning curve is a continuous function.
You can jump to
imagine this. The learning curve is a continuous function, right? You can't jump from one point to the other.
Okay, yeah, we're not jumping, but
the accumulation of human knowledge is actually a continuous function, right?
I agree.
The only reason why you can jump to something is because someone had to go through it. Newton had to fucking suffer the hard way by fucking playing around with Murky for
I agree.
Realize.
But
you can learn from other people. Cumulative. You can't bypass this part of the learning curve. This is a larger learning curve here that you're not seeing.
I'm not bypassing the learning curve. I'm putting.
You're trying to.
No. I'm putting an emphasis.
You think this is where the learning curve is learning to, but you might actually be wrong, right? And you're trying to jump to.
I'm putting an emphasis on people being intelligent and making good decisions, rather than putting an emphasis on how do we change the economy, how do we change the government.
You're assuming a point of the learning curve. You're assuming a point of the learning curve. You're extrapolating to a point on the learning curve, and me too. And we're disagreeing. But I always have a tiebreaker.
You don't have a tiebreaker, man. Your self-interest model doesn't apply today.
I have a mechanism. You can't. My profit mechanism. You're saying it works in the long run.
It doesn't work today, though.
It doesn't matter. That's the tiebreaker, right?
No, it does matter.
So you present a mechanism.
Like we're arguing about different things. Again.
Let me present. You present a mechanism, right? I present a mechanism, but you agree that my mechanism works in the long run. I can't even agree to your mechanism working wrong. So that's a tiebreaker. We both disagree on both mechanisms, but you at least agree on the long run that mine works.
But you don't actually have a mechanism, though.
The profit mechanism.
No. That's not a mechanism. That's
profit.
That's not.
No. My philosophy is consistent when I resort to morality.
That's not a mechanism, though.
It's a mechanism.
No, it's not.
Mechanism.
No. Okay,
how is it not? How is it not?
It's not a mechanism because you have no specific way of telling what people should do to get to a utopia.
Yes, it does. Just differentiate your indifference curve to find the critical point.
No,
differentiate, find equal zero.
Not simple. It's not simple.
That's try to as your best of your ability. Hopefully, if you make mistakes, your kids will learn, and society will learn from you. The thing is, information gets cheaper and cheaper as we go through time. So it's easier and easier to learn from other people's mistakes and throughout history. That's why with the internet, it's harder to have dictators like Hitler or Mao Zedong.
Sure.
So the thing is, with information, with the advent of the internet, you can see things are accelerated now, and the beauty about it is now that information is close to zero, the profit incentive works even better.
I'm just gonna say this.
The thing is, you can do everything you want to do in a free market.
Yes, but we don't gonna get that for 1,000 years.
No,
Okay.
even in a semi-free market, you can do what you want to do.
No, you can't.
Through the profit incentive thing, you can try to convince other people of what you want to do on YouTube, which is what we're doing.
Yeah. So it's getting freer, right? But this is a gradual process, and you don't necessarily need to get rid of the government at any point of this process.
You must.
Immediately. No,
Because-
see that's
because
no.
if what
Getting
you're-
rid of the government is what is actually a step function, right? It's the same kind of thing. It's a huge leap rather than a continuous change.
No, it's a continuous function.
It's not a continuous change.
Yeah, if you look at it crudely, it's a step function. If you look at it very analytical, you'll realize it's a continuous, because it's opinions that actually slowly change, right? If you consider it that way.
Whatever. Like, we're arguing different things.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm just saying it's really not a step function if you really.
No, we're arguing different things because your solution to modern day problems isn't a real solution.
It is. You can see
No.
you can see market solutions.
Your solution to modern day problems.
You can see it in
Your solution. No. Your solution to modern day problems is it will be solved in the long run. That's your modern solution.
No,
that's your solution to modern day problems.
Whatever have you. Okay, so for instance, there's a problem, right? And it creates a bad in society, right? This bad, it decreases utility, so people will exactly want to cancel it out.
Okay, no. Forget. Let's analyze this. No, let's analyze this directly. The problem with Apple. How do you solve that? How do you solve that?
You're going specifically, right?
Yes, specifically.
You're going to real world.
Yes, yes.
How do
I'm
you solve
always
that?
going real world.
Easy. Get rid of the government. Done.
How do you do that? How do you get rid of government?
For me, the best way is to let it collapse financially.
And how long is that going to take?
But you do as much as possible to contribute to it legally, right?
Right. And how long is that going to take?
I don't know. I'm hoping, and I think it will happen in the next 20 years.
Okay. Well,
That's
in the meantime, in those 20 years, what you can do is encourage people not to buy Apple phones because Apple's an evil company.
What part of what you just said you can't do in a free market?
You can. I'm just saying you're not talking about this other aspect.
I am implicitly.
No.
I just did. I just did.
Maybe it's implicit.
You can do it in a free market.
It's implicit to you.
If I haven't in the past, I just did. Right?
Look, it's implicit to you. It's not implicit to me.
Now it's explicit. It just became explicit.
Okay, good. So now
what's your problem?
I would say that when we're doing moral arguments, or we're sort of making moral suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
you always make suggestions of the form, people should not buy Apple products. You never make suggestions of the form, the economy should change. Because
you know this whole process of convincing others, or you have to appeal to, right?
I don't know, emotion?
No, it's not emotion, not empathy. What will I always say you have to appeal to?
I don't know.
And which makes me consistent, right?
Logic.
No, not logic.
Self-interest?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can do that. You can't.
No, you have to do that.
Yeah, you have to do that. But you do that.
And see how everything always converges with me, while yours is piecemeal?
No, mine is not piecemeal. Mine also converges just as much as yours.
With empathy.
Mine, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because I would argue empathy is self-interest.
No, because you wouldn't do it. First off, you wouldn't appeal to empathy if it wasn't in your self-interest. See?
What? I would say empathy and self-interest are the same thing.
No, one's a means to the other. I can prove so, because I can find cases where empathy would be not in your self-interest, and then you had to pick.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Yeah, sure.
Give me one case.
Well, I give the general case, right?
No, give me a
I might not be able to do it right now in the heat of the moment, right?
I don't think you ever can.
Because it's hard, coming with the element, right? In the heat of
you don't know. No, you don't.
Okay. Okay, so we both know the general form. The general form is, can something be, is there an element that self-interested and not empathetic, right? So that's in the case where.
No, you can't.
Okay,
you can't
allow there to be a God, right? And he forces me to choose, hey, kill this guy or me. How does empathy uh, uh, overcome self-interest here?
It depends. It
So,
depends.
sorry for my crude hypothetical,
No,
but
it's fine.
it's
It
in the
depends on who. It depends on who of you can produce more. It depends on which one of you can create more.
All else equal. There we go. It doesn't matter. I can choose
That's a
any case I want, right? I just have to find one.
You
So
have to, but you're not going to find one. You're not going to find one.
We're exactly the same except our names. Anton and Brian.
Then it doesn't matter which one of you dies. Then it doesn't matter.
Let's say
Then it literally makes no difference which choice you make. So
genetically we're the same.
Okay.
Now, but one's an ANCAP and one's an empathetic.
That's already more complicated. That's already way more complicated. Because
no, I can complicate it as much as I want. I'm allowed to do so. I'm only my only task is to find one.
I know it's complicated, but you have to give me more details. Like, why are they?
That's all else equal. I filled in all the details just by saying that, right?
Why are they? Why is the one in
Not
ANCAP?
why.
Yes, no, that matters. I need more details to make the choice.
There's only two of you. I mean, there's only
not
two.
Simple. It's not simple. It's never simple. Let me give you.
No,
it's never.
The thing is, you can keep trying to ask for more definition. The problem is, I'm gonna necessarily corner you.
No, you're not. You're not.
Yes, because there's a difference between self-interest and empathetic, and you're trying to say they're the same when they're not.
They are.
And it's gonna be pretty easy for me to, even though just because it's very hard in a debate. Like as soon as we get off, I'll be able to do it. Right?
To give me more details,
but you can feel that you're probably gonna be wrong here, can't you?
No, I'm not gonna be wrong. I know for a fact.
Your intuition's kind of weak. You're making a tall claim that
I know for a fact
are the same thing.
I know for a fact that empathy will solve everyone's problems.
Definition of empathy.
It's complicated.
So you don't even have a definition of empathy.
No, I have a definition of empathy. It's called caring about others. Caring about other people.
You know, when you compare that to my definition of self, it's very similar but different. It's very similar but different.
It's very similar.
So what weighting do you give to yourself? Let's say if you had to distribute the weighting of one between everyone else, the whole population. Okay, considering the whole population and you.
Yeah, that depends.
The whole population, what weighting do you put on the whole population versus yourself every time you make a decision on their cost benefit? Here's where I'll pin you down on the difference.
It depends on cost. It depends on the cost benefit of me dying versus the whole population dying. So if the cost of
I understand. I'm trying to reformulate because no, it's not, the consequences aren't as grave as dying. Let's put it a more insignificant consequence, right?
You okay? Go ahead.
So if you could. Oh, okay. So here's the thing: if you could take $1 million from a group of 1 trillion people, right, evenly. So whatever 1 million divided by
1 trillion people. That's a lot of people. That's more than
a billion. Let's no. Okay. So let me do. If you could take $1 million, if you could take $1 million from 100 million people.
Okay. So everyone gives me $10.
$1. 100 million and $1 million, right? $1.
Oh yeah.
You could compel people.
No. Wait a sec. If I get 1 million from 100 million, then every person gives me a cent or 10 cents.
No, 100 million people for $100 million. $1 million from 100 million people. That's
yeah.
a dollar.
Every person gives me a cent.
A cent. Yeah. A cent.
Would I do that? Yes.
So obviously.
No. Let me explain to it. Because I can do more with that $1 million than they can. That would be my argument.
But you're
and I'm only taking a cent, so I'm not really affecting their well-being at all. So the loss of that is negligible.
Yes. Right? This is the way government works, right? This is the mechanism for government, right? Dispersing costs and concentrating benefits.
No, but the government takes a lot more than the government takes a percentage, right? That's a lot. That's a lot different. I'm taking a cent, and what am I? And honestly, it depends what I use that $1 million for. It does depend on what I use that $1 million for. I could fucking throw that $1 million into the river, and
it doesn't
then
matter. It
does matter. That's my point.
It's going to be a different distribution, like all these actors, right? Do you really think you know all the conditions of all these actors, right? Me, do you know the conditions of me? What do I need right now? Tell me, Anton.
Sure
what do I need most right now? What do I need to do?
I don't know. But then I would wait.
I actually need to get off this conversation because I need to go run some errands.
You need to go. Well,
I'm just.
A cent is a small amount. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
If you asked me to take like $10 from everyone, that's a different story.
Yes, but I'm trying to find the case. So I'm dispersing costs. It's so dispersed that you actually get jaded. You start to discount this 1 cent to zero, and I can do it even further to make you want to do it more because it starts to show how you value yourself more.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. At no point in this analysis
taking a random person from the population, the weighting you give to yourself is not equal to that person. That's what I'm trying to say.
The way you give to yourself.
The weighting.
Yeah, that might be true, but that is a flaw.
And that is where your definition of empathy comes into play.
That is a flaw.
No, that's where your definition.
That is making a bad decision.
That's where I'll ask for your definition of empathy. It'll come down to a weighting distribution. If it doesn't match the self-interest distribution, I can therefore create a hypothetical using that calculation, that formula, and prove you wrong.
You can't prove me wrong because
but you have to. Okay, so here's the task for the next chat. You have to formulate a weighting distribution that defines empathy.
No, I think what we should do
define a weighting distribution for what you think I'm defining self-interest as.
I think what we should do for the next chat is you try to come up with scenarios that question my empathy, because I guarantee
I need the specific definition of empathy to actually prove.
Because caring about others.
Because the thing is, I'm working off a poor definition of empathy, and I don't know where to corner you at. I need to know how to corner. See,
you can't because you can't corner me.
Anton, prove objectives is a subset of quarks.
What?
No, with quarks, not in the physical sense, like the physics sense, right? You don't know what the definition. See, or I can poorly define quarks.
Here's the thing:
as morality, and you still don't know how to disprove me. Once you properly define quarks, then you can feel out the proof. So you're asking me to prove something that's not clearly defined. You must clearly define empathy. Then I will easily find the proof. Okay. So,
caring about, I have defined it. Caring about other people, caring about society and society's progress. That is empathy.
But you understand my argument that that's just a means to the end of self-interest. And let's probably end it there because it's 3:00. I got to get something done by 4.
Okay.
But let's both probably re-listen to this, rehash it out, and
sure,
think of counter arguments. But you're wrong, man. I have all the tiebreakers.
I'm not wrong.
What have I conceded to you? What have you conceded to me? You can see it's a tiebreaker. Done.
I've conceded the self-interest thing because the way I see it is that's actually the same thing as what I talk about when I say empathy.
I claim that they're different because one's a means to the other. You're claiming they're the same. I need a definition at this point.
How can one be a means to the other if you're arguing that people should always?
Because empathy is a fucking emotion. It's like a more complicated version of pleasure.
I would say that
a more complicated version of pleasure and happiness.
I would say logic and emotion are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I disagree with that, but
logic and emotion are not.
I can at least say emotion is a primitive form of logic.
Some of it is a primitive form. Some emotions are primitive.
No, it's just a degree of complication, right?
Some emotions are primitive. Empathy
Let's
is
say
not
logic.
primitive.
Oh, actually, maybe consider it like a spectrum. Perfection of emotion is logic. So it's only the perfect. It's hard to be. It's impossible to be perfectly logical. Let's say that. Let's say it's
Well,
a
I mean, this then goes into the fact that we'll never have a perfectly logical society.
Yeah. Well, we're headed toward it. We're always headed toward it. That's the best we can. That's the best we can strive.
But I would say, but emotions and logic are not mutually exclusive, and I would say empathy is one of the only.
Empathy is different. Self-interest is my perfection, right?
I would say that empathy is the rational emotion.
Your perfection cannot be my equal.
Self-interest is itself an emotion, though. Right? This, like, caring about the self, that's an emotional thing as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and I would say that manifests itself in much more primitive ways than empathy.
No, I actually think that's the end. So what you're thinking of maybe is the motions to the means of that.
No, I'm thinking of the end.
You try to classify it.
I'm thinking about the thing is
pleasure. Like what you're thinking of is like pleasure or happiness. Like those are geared to self-interest. So you're conflating the two. Those are means to the end. You're conflating.
How is happiness? Hold on. How is happiness the means to the end if happiness is supposed to be the end?
Happiness is an emotion, right? It's kind of like in between a thought and a feeling of accomplishment. Right?
Well, this is getting into
it's getting out of track. Maybe we should save that. Listen to this again. We should listen to this again ourselves maybe tonight and reformulate. But you're wrong. I mean,
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I think you're misinterpreting me.
You admit you've conceded more than I have, right?
Yeah, because I'm going with you, right? I'm not saying that your like model is the perfect model yet, right? I haven't said that.
You agree with it in the long run. I don't agree with empathy in the long run.
You don't agree with empathy in the long run.
It doesn't work. First of all, you give me a definition. Then I'll be sure to. I'll do that.
I guarantee you, any perfect society your free market creates will have empathy. Guaranteed.
Now that I think about it more. Now I think, but anyways, now I think more. I'm like almost kind of agreeing, but not yet. But okay, so I also yeah, I'm thinking about that, but yeah, no, because it's implied in my definition of self to care about it. It's implied in my philosophy, ego utilitarianism, right?
Yeah. So so it's not a means to an end. Then it's not.
Okay, so what we're disagreeing about, is the degree of empathy. That's what we're disagreeing.
We are disagreeing about the degree of empathy. Sure.
Okay, so there's a difference here.
Sure.
And we need to concentrate on that difference. But anyways,
I would say a lot more empathy than most people currently have, and a lot more empathy than Apple certainly has.
Only because we're gonna be closer to each other in the future,
and a lot more empathy.
Why empathy is gonna increase? Yeah. The fact that we're so different now is only a consequence of we're so different. Oh, I had a problem with this. I had a biological problem with everyone being so similar, right? Nature rewards diversity because the environments are so different.
But the environments won't be different in the future. They can't be because everyone prefers the same environment.
If they have the power to change it.
Yeah, which we will, because
if technology has progressed to the point,
which it will, because technology. But
nature rewards.
There's still going to be diversity. There's still going to be some diversity.
Here's the fucking thing. You have to be able to control nature to the point where unlikelihood, like a meteor hit, which rewards diversity. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, let's end it here.
So I think we should go back.
We've reduced the argument to a degree of empathy. I think we agree there.
Yeah, we need to go back down to principles of like self-interest and empathy and how these things coincide.
I've given a definition of self-interest. You've yet to give a definition of empathy, though.
I fucking gave you like the same definition 3 times, man.
Did you?
Yes, caring about others.
In terms of a quantitative weighting, I haven't done so for self-interest. I can only give you a general form, but you even haven't given me an indication of that weighting.
The general form of empathy is caring about others, caring about society, caring about something greater than yourself.
In what weighting? As far
The
as
weighting depends. The weighting
let's
depends, but more.
put it in terms of just genetics. As you get away further from you genetically, does it decrease like the inverse proportional square law, like intensity of light or sound intensity?
Well,
Does it decrease like that? Like as you get farther away from you genetically, you see how you give more weighting to your family
I
than
don't understand.
than a
You're saying that
the weighting depends on how close they are to you just genetically. Let's say when you look at in terms of self, for your definition set, how close it is to matching to your definition set. So you give more weighting to someone who's closer to you in terms of your definition of self, mimetically and genetically, right? So you give more weighting to your dad than you would to a random stranger.
yeah, but that's a mistake.
Is that a mistake?
It is. In a perfect society, that won't hold. In a perfect world, my
Because
dad.
everyone's equal.
There are no strangers. Everyone is my dad in a perfect.
But see, now you're the one jumping to the long run instead of looking at what's now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about the same thing, but with different words.
No,
So,
but the thing is, also here's another difference, right? When you apply mine now versus when you apply yours now, you get different strategies.
that's the difference. Yeah, we have different
okay. So
strategies
it's
for now.
No, so now I've got you to admit they're different.
Yeah, I think your strategy is ignoring variables.
No, it doesn't. It takes in all variables.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It's an infinitely multivariable equation. But
And
anyways,
you're making everyday decisions with an infinitely multivariable equation. Is that
of course,
it?
that's the game. That's the hard game.
That's not possible, bro. You're not doing that.
No, we're forced to play it, right? Based upon our limited intellect and information. We're forced to play the game. And we're forced to suffer the consequences when we make mistakes. That's the beauty of nature. It forces us to learn. And you can't bypass this. You can't jump to one point to another on the learning curve. But anyways, yeah, let's continue this on. I really gotta
Yeah. Goodbye.
I'll also probably be on another. Let me invite you probably later on. There's going to be another discussion that I jump into. It's a bunch of ANCAPs. Maybe you can jump in to be the counterpoint.
They're gonna bully me though if it's a bunch of.
I'll protect you, man.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because I won't allow unless there's
No, but the thing is, if you're discussing with ANCAPs, you guys are probably discussing more economic issues, right?
No, man, they're fucking Chris Cantwell. They're fucking libertarian brutalists. It's a crude form of libertarianism.
Like what? What do they say?
Toilet humor.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like my type of thing.
No, but I turn it intellectual all the time.
Whatever.
I'm trying to convince them to approach libertarianism from a more academic approach rather than the Austrian approach, which is a dumbed down version.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, let's think about those demand curves, what actually is. But from the perspective of the market demand curve, I'm correct. From the perspective of the actual people that buy from them, and that's hard to like separate them, right? You're throwing it all into the market. But yeah, you're correct that way too. I mean, I've known that way. I've known, of course, but when you sum it up, so you sum up linear, you just get a steeper slope. Yeah.
Anyway, you have to go. I have to go.
Yeah, let's discuss this some other time and focus the debate. But we focus it enough.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Goodbye.